You know, when we put the phrase, "In God we trust," on our money, it was put on our coinage during the Civil War, and then that phrase was added to our paper money, our bills, in 1957. Does it seem ironic for that phrase to be on our money? That thing about which we can sometimes worry the most has on it, "In God we trust." Money is what we need to buy those things mentioned by Jesus in our gospel: food, clothing, drink, housing. Money is included in the mammon that Jesus mentions in our gospel. That which, if it becomes our master, makes us treat God as if our neglected slave. Maybe that phrase, "In God we trust," is on our money to remind us of our gospel today. Those words can be a reminder to us not to worry about these things of the earth, so that we not be distracted from seeking the things of heaven. Jesus says, aren't we more than our clothing, and aren't we more than our food? Certainly, we have a purpose here on earth. God created us to love him now and for all eternity. And so Jesus is saying, if God created us for that purpose, do you think he's going to sustain us in that goal or that purpose? And so worry, anxiety, can either preoccupy us so much that we make little or no time to think of God. Or it could quite possibly turn us to God, trusting that God will take care of us in spite of the things that are troubling us. Holocaust survivor and author Corrie ten Boom once wrote that being anxious and worried is like, I quote, "carrying tomorrow's load with today's strength, carrying two loads at once. Worrying doesn't empty tomorrow of its sorrow, it empties today of its strength." End of quote. In other words, we get weak and worn out taking on tomorrow's troubles today. That can weaken our faith, even wear us down such that we could lose our faith. And that adds tomorrow's sorrows to today's. That, in fact, would be the greatest sorrow, to allow ourselves to become so burdened by worrying about tomorrow that we can no longer trust God to help us get through it, one day at a time. And that's one of the message I think that Jesus has for us in the gospel. He's saying the same thing, but very succinctly, when he said, "Sufficient for a day is its own evil." In other words, why add tomorrow's evils to today's? Isn't today's evil enough? That's what worrying about tomorrow does. The greatest evil may be that God gets bumped out of our day because we're worrying about the troubles of the day and adding on to it the troubles of tomorrow. If, on the other hand, we keep our trust in God, continuing to pray and put God first, then we get through it all, one day at a time. God can and does free us from our worries about the things of earth so that we can seek the things of heaven as we do now. Here at this Eucharist, we are encouraged to lay our worries as a sacrifice on this altar, to be transformed into hope, that just as when Jesus surrendered his life on the cross for our salvation and was not abandoned by his Father, but delivered from death, So we who surrender our lives united with Jesus will be strengthened in our hope and faith that we are never abandoned by our Father in heaven.